Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a Foomf and Swansik-year-old, a 25-year-old from Aspen, Colorado, USA. His hockey journey has taken him to the USA, and he's now spieling or playing in my old honey holes, starting out his European career with the Cannibals of Landshut, if they're still called that, and has just signed up with the Bietigheim Steelers of Deutschland, Germany, folks. A staple with the Colorado Thunderbirds AAA program, and mucked around in Sioux Falls with the Stampede and Lincoln Stars of the USHL before following his older brother and playing at the University of Denver with the Pioneers and promptly winning the championship his freshman year. After 4 years in Denver, he turned pro and let the hockey world know what's up, putting up 29 goals and making the ECHL all-rookie team and all-star game with the Tulsa Oilers, and earned a call-up for a handful of matches in the AHL, and after 1 year pro, decided to spread his hockey wings and head to Europe and my Landshut Cannibals, just like another guy I know. Welcome to my shed, Jake Doremus.
Thank you. Appreciate being on.
Hey, thanks for coming, man. I get into how we know each other. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a German fan of the shed that when you signed in Landshut says that there's some guy playing in Landshut that is being compared to me, my fat ass back in the day. But then he just wrote to me like this week or last week saying the guy that I'm compared to is just now signed in Bietigheim too after 1 year, which is exactly what I did. That's weird.
Yeah, that's stuff happens, but yeah, it's good that we finally got to link up, and I never would have known that somebody did that unless you reached out to me.
And I would have never known unless he reached out to me.
Yeah, exactly. So
I
we
find
got
it
to thank
interesting
him.
though, when the research team gets hot, you played 1 year pro in the coast, did quite well, similar to myself. Then you choose to go later on in the season, just a bit into it, to Landshut, like I did. I missed the preseason, folks. It was great. Preseason in Germany can suck, big guy, just so you know.
Oh, I'm ready for it. Yeah.
Well, they have I don't even know who's the coach there now, but the guy I
They
had,
haven't.
not not good for you in July. When do you have to go?
I think it's either going to be August 1st or August 7th.
Yeah, so
Um,
they're back on track because they made us go July 1st, and there was no ice in until August. So think about that, folks. 1 month without ice, and we're hockey players. So we just ran.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's no fun. And we're not good runners.
No, we're not. I'm not built for running. I'm built for skating, right?
Yeah,
And not even that
exactly.
sometimes.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, no, it can get pretty wild that first month, just so you know. But I guess if you're not going till August, it's probably better. Do you know who their coach is?
No, they haven't hired one yet. I talked to the sports GM and he said they have two or three guys in mind and should know relatively soon.
Um,
Um,
Fun fact,
hopefully.
another shed guy just signed there too, eh? Guy that's also
Oh,
been
who's
in the
that?
shed. Riker Killens. He lives right around the corner here.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying much attention since I got home, but
Because
just
it's
trying to,
summer. Yeah.
yeah, just trying to relax a
You're
little bit. But
detaching. I understand.
yeah,
No, he just sent me a photo of him rolling into the parking lot, and took a picture of the arena and said, my new home, shush. And I'm like, oh, they haven't announced it yet. So they just announced it. I guess it was like yesterday. So Riker Killens got his Deutsche Pass, and he is now a Deutschlander Spieler on your team, just so you know.
yeah.
He's a good D
No, I
man,
love it.
tight gap, good skater. He's gonna do well.
That's always good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
More North American players, the better.
It is fun to have other Canadian American guys around when you're in Germany, right? It makes you, I don't know, I enjoyed having some Canadian Germans on the team as well as imports, because it's just, more people that come from a similar background that you maybe have some more things in common with, right?
Well, yeah, you just gotta. It seems like you can just talk to them normally, and they understand you a lot more. But I mean, I got to know a lot of great Germans too, especially the ones that played. So I think I had two or three guys on my team that were from Germany, but they played Major Junior in North America.
Oh
So they
yeah.
understood a lot of it. And then they came back to Germany. So they were right in the mix of like understanding everything. And if you talked about a certain place or whatever, they would know what you were talking about. So that helped.
Yeah, and the language barrier can be something when you first get over there. I remember, like, it's weird talking in my shed how it brings back so many memories because I kind of put it all in the past when I moved home, and now like just your name coming up and then seeing you playing for Landshut brought back a lot of memories. And
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, when I just remember the plane ride over there, and I'm looking out the window, and like it all happened so fast, and all of a sudden I'm landing in Germany, and I'm just like whoa, this is crazy. Then you get out of the plane and like all the signs are in German and you're like, whoa, where am I? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
it was a shock.
Yeah.
I think it didn't really hit me until maybe the first couple games when the crowds are going nuts and you just have no idea what they're saying. And
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
um, I mean, I'll get right into it. But my first two games were derby games, and I landed on Thursday at 2 o'clock, and I played Friday away derby game.
Against two.
Um, Regensburg,
Oh yeah, that's not far away.
and yeah, and
Folks, derby
we
game means you're rivals, right? And in Germany,
yeah
that is heated stuff.
yeah. So I had no idea what I was getting into, and ended up playing against Regensburg, and we scored first shift, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun, and we ended up winning the game, and then obviously we had Saturday off, and then Sunday we went to Kaufborn, which was the other derby game, and
You played two road games in one weekend. I thought it's always a home and away each weekend.
yeah, it was two road games, unfortunately. But I don't know how the scheduling works, but yeah, we went to Kaufborn, and it was kind of crazy. Just warm ups, the whole stadium was filled, and they're screaming at you. It's a much smaller stadium than it was in Regensburg, but I would say the crowd's a little bit louder. And we got waxed 8-2, and I was like, oh boy, this is not good.
No, yeah.
So I definitely jumped right into the whole culture thing of the German language and the screaming and the all that stuff.
Well, the fans are it's totally different, right? Like it's totally different than North America. You know what I mean?
No, it's hard to explain. I was talking to my parents before they visited. I was like, I don't even know how to explain it to you, but you'll see when you come over here. Like
Well, and
it's
like I posted a couple videos today when I like because you brought back the memories, and I actually I YouTubed 2007-8 Landshut Cannibals, and there were a couple videos of like us going to the finals and the fans and what it's like, and when they announce us coming out on the ice, and man, it just makes all the memories flood back. But like those first couple weeks when I got to Germany, I was just so dumbfounded with how much fun the fans were having, all the chants, and then they'd make you do stuff and you like did it and then they'd cheer more. I remember so I played my first game in Castle, which was the best team in the league. We're already
yeah,
4 games into the season. So I come late. They're 4 games in, but I was just on my way to a coast camp, an AHL camp, so I hadn't played yet. But they're 4 games into their regular season. I get there. We play in Castle. So you score, your line scores your first shift. My first shift, my bucket pops off, and I think I'm tough and cool. I'm going to show the guys what's up that I'll play without a bucket on. I got a penalty for playing without a bucket on. And that's an international rule, folks, that I didn't know. So I got a penalty, and the other team scored on the power play, and that's how my German career started.
oh yeah, a little bit different, but
And
at least there was
Castle's
a
a crazy bar, man. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
yeah. No, I mean, I was kind of shocked every single road game. I'm like, what am I getting into now? Like, what do they offer here? And
It
it was
is
something.
intense, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something different every single game, and I got used to it obviously after probably 10 road games, but it
Yeah,
was it made it fun, like
it does make it fun.
it really puts you into the game. If like even if you're a
Yeah,
little tired from the bus ride, like first shift, you can be right into it, which is awesome.
it is. Did the fans at Landshut then ever call you back out at the end of a game to do
Yeah,
stuff?
we first started going to go back in the locker room, and then we'd come out and do the whole chant thing, and then we ended up just doing it right after the game. And I got called out twice, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" Like, and
Well,
my
so that happened my first home game in Landshut, man. I'm literally going off the ice, and it's my first game at home. So we play the Castle game, we lose. Then the next game, which another story from my first game in Germany that was wild. It's my first game there. You think you want to make an impression. I get hauled down on a breakaway, right? In Germany, apparently you can pick whoever you want to take that
yeah,
shot. So
yeah, I
they
had
they let my left winger take the shot, and he goes in, shoots it right in the goalie's glove, and we don't score it. I'm like, is this serious?
yeah, I had that happen to me too. I got a breakaway,
Really?
and then I actually knew the rule because it happened before. So I got a breakaway, and they called a penalty shot, and then they gave it to another guy, and he ended up scoring. So it didn't really matter, but
Well,
it
if he
was kind of one
scores,
of those
that
things.
makes you feel better. But the guy didn't
Yeah,
score my first game, and then anyway, so we go back to Landshut for the second game, and I think I got like a couple apples. I didn't score, but then like there's some mucking around after a whistle, and I like jumped on a guy's back and like wrestled him down and stuff, and they thought that was funny that the little guy did that. And then at the end of the game, they called me out, and we're going off the ice like right at the start there, and they're calling my name, and I'm like, my lineman's like, you have to go out there. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you have to go to center. They're calling for you. He's like, you have to. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, I'll come with you. So then my line mate who had scored the couple goals I assisted on, we go out to center and we did like the can, and the whole crowd went totally crazy. Like where we're kicking our feet up in the air and we were
yeah,
doing it together in tandem. And the crowd went crazy. And I'm like, wow, hockey's fun again.
yeah, exactly. No, it's wild. You kind of like, what do they want? And it's like, just do something, and then they're happy.
Yeah. It's yeah, brings back memories though, folks. I tell you, you know. So
Oh,
what'd you
for
do when
sure.
they called you back out? You just do the brrrr thing?
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
that's what the guys told me to do,
that's what everybody does, eh? Maybe you
and
should come up with
then
something new for this season, eh?
yeah, maybe I'll have to do something new for Bietigheim.
Yeah. Uh, and so just so you know, okay, when I signed to Bietigheim, I'm pretty new in Germany, right? Still getting my used to it, maybe like you are, right? I get to Bietigheim, and within 2 months, they forced me into an erotic calendar shoot. So if they ask you to do that, if they ask you to go on an erotic photo shoot, do it because it's a life memory you'll have forever with those other five teammates. I'm not
Yeah,
joking.
I will. I'll have to let you know if that happens.
Please do, because it's the only time I've ever heard about it in pro hockey, and it's one of my favorite memories of my career. So seriously though,
Well, there's a chance.
um, yeah, no, they did that. They canceled the calendar, so I'm not sure if they'll do the photo shoot again, you know, because a couple of the fraus got a little wound up about the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can du sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch?
No, nine.
Nine. I couldn't after a year either. Don't worry about it, big guy.
Um, there's a few things that got me around, but um, for the most part, I mean, it was
Mehr
hard. I
Bier,
tried.
ein mehr Bier
Yeah,
bitte, ein halbe.
yeah, exactly. Just a few things that would get me, but um, it was hard because for me, I would hear so many different slangs, and like my teammates would basically talk differently because they're from different parts of Germany.
Mm,
And I'm like, you guys just said the same thing, but it sounds completely different.
right.
Um, so I mean, I tried my best, and then I think I gave up for a month or two, and then I tried my best, and next thing you know, I'm on a flight home. So
Well, and
maybe,
confidence can be a thing, right? And like there's a couple times I tried and someone looks at you blankly and you're like, how do you not know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure I'm right.
yeah,
And then when like it takes them 5 minutes and they're like, there's one time I might have been ordering mayo at McDonald's for my fries because that's a thing over there, folks. But I said mayo, and they're like, and I'm like, mayo. And they're like, oh, mayo. And I'm like, oh, come on. Come on. Meet me in the middle here, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had a lot of those instances too, but I mean, the worst is when you kind of think that the person doesn't speak English, so then you try your best to speak German, and you're like trying to order yourself something, and you're like, I need cafe, and they're just whatever you're trying to order, and then they're like, "Would you like a coffee, please?" And you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, yeah. Then
I'm
they just talk
screaming
English
north.
back to you, and then you're
Yeah,
like, "Oh God, I feel like an idiot." Yeah, why don't I
oh
just
my
talk
god.
English?
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
And then you just
I'm
keep saying, "Can do sprechen Sie English?" And then they're like, "Yeah," and then you talk English, right? And then you don't speak German. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That happened to me
Um.
a lot when I went to some bigger cities.
Also, when you go over there, right, you sign the 1 year deal probably in Landshut, and then you don't know how long you're going to be in Germany, right? And then you sign with Bietigheim, and then you're like, okay, I'm going back another year. And then you sign another year, and then another year. And then next thing you know, you're like 4 years into it, and your teammates are like, hey, man, learn German. And you're like, okay.
No,
And
exactly.
then when
Yeah.
you finally learn German, they're like, kindly leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, that's
Yeah.
what happened to me.
Well, I had a guy on our team, Brett Cameron. He's been there for 5 years, and I give him a hard time. I'm like, "You don't know German." He's like, "I do." I'm like, "I haven't heard you speak German at all." And the other guy, Tyson, that I played hockey with at DU, he was there too, and he knew way more German than him. And I was like, "Okay, this is what it looks like when you don't put an effort towards it, and when you do."
Yeah, and I think also like intelligence is a thing. And I saw you were like an all academic 4 years in a row, so you should be fine. You got no excuses.
I mean, I'll take
Some
that
people are
compliment,
just
but
not that smart, man, right? But you got good. It seems like you got some good grades, so I think you could do it. For me, it was like I didn't feel like putting in the effort when I signed 1 year in Landshut. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to go from here. And then you sign in Bietigheim, you're like, this is cool. And then all of a sudden I'm in Bietigheim for 4 years, but then like I just learned it from just being around it so long, right? I didn't really try. It's just I'd go. My favorite day was when, and I used to go for beers with the Germans, the shed guys, Geipi and Hammer, and they'd cook me Schweinebraten, if you know what that is.
yeah,
Pig belly, but they could
yeah,
do her. Anyways, you go hang out with them, and they literally would have the German conversations. And then I just kind of sit there and smash beers. And then when they're ready to talk English, they'd talk to me. And then we'd do our English conversation. And then when they'd talk to each other, they'd go back to German. And then my favorite day was like when we could just sit there and kind of speak German, and we could all, I understood what they were saying, and we could pretty much do it. And it made life so much better over there once I could do it. I highly suggest giving her like trying to learn, because it made my life way better.
yeah. And I can see how that would.
And you
It
know
would
what
get
else it
frustrating.
does though is the fans like you more too. I think if I would have gotten right into the German and was doing it, I would have got to know the fans better. They would have got to know me better. And I think they also like when the players put in an effort.
I
Just
agree. Yeah. Um, I think that's totally true because I find myself just getting frustrated sometimes when I don't understand. Like sometimes my coach would just like rant in German because it was more fluent for him. And I'm like, I wish I knew what he was saying because it might push me or I could understand it better. Or, I mean, it's so funny. It's the same thing. I go out to have beers with the German guys and I'll be sitting there just like just doing nothing and they're in their conversation and then they'll look at me and ask me a question in English. I try and get the conversation going, but like you said, if
but
I
then
can
they go back
understand
to
it
German
first,
because that's what they
yeah,
speak. Yeah.
if I can understand it first and at least, maybe
Yeah.
reply in English and then after time maybe start replying in German, which would be great. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna be
It
doing my
does take
best.
time though. It's not the easiest, but like, yeah, I found like reading the newspaper about like our games I started learning hockey German, but then I guess they don't really like make newspapers anymore probably. So anyways, yeah, you're bringing back a lot of memories, dude.
That's great. I like that.
So how did you guys do this year in Landshut? I saw you played 7 playoff games. So is that one round?
We ended up losing in the quarterfinals in game 7. I played 7. I unfortunately got injured, but our team played 9. So we
The
finished
pre-playoff
seventh
thing.
place. Yeah,
Okay.
so we finished 7th place. Top 6 get a bye. So 7 plays 10.
Yeah.
8 plays 9 in a best of 3. And we played Regensburg, which was kind of funny.
The
And
Derby.
yeah, derby game, and we waxed them 5-1 the first game at home. Second game was in Regensburg, definitely a barn burner, but we ended up winning 3-2. So we went into the quarterfinals, ended up playing Ravensburg. They were second ranked team,
The Tower
and we went,
Stars.
yeah, so we went down 2-rip against them, and then ended up coming back, tying it 2-2. And then game 5, me and Tyson, the other import, both got concussions, and ended up losing game 5 in overtime. Went back to Landshut and won game 6 with 7 forwards and 5D.
And without 2 of your imports.
3 of our imports were hurt. 3 out of 4.
So you only had one import.
The other guy, Brett Cameron, was out with a concussion and a broken face, basically. And we ended up winning that game. I mean, it was crazy.
Landshut must have been going wild.
It was nuts. I mean, I've never seen the rink like that with all my time there, but so we forced a game 7, and then they got waxed 5-1 in the game 7 in Ravensburg. So we ended up losing that quarterfinals, and then Ravensburg just beat Krefeld 4-1. So they're in the finals against Bad Nauheim. But
Bad Nauheim's got a shed guy. Like, he hasn't been to the shed yet, but I know he's a shed guy. Their coach, Harry Longe. I've met him. I've had some beers with him. He's a fantastic dude, their coach. It's no surprise that their team's good when they got a coach like that.
Yeah. I never played against them, actually. I was hurt this year on both times, unfortunately. Actually, no, I played against him once. My bad. But
yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah, I would say we did pretty well overall. We had a lot of injuries, and we went through a terrible slump, like right when I got to Landshut. It was like we lost 6 or 7 games in a row, and I was like,
right when you got there, that's not good.
I think we won the first game and then lost 1 and then went on the losing streak.
Do you know what happened? This was good to bring up. You know what happened my year at Landshut, which I think is hilarious, is the start when I get there. One part was, I remember the coach saying to me, because he didn't speak English the whole season. I meant to bring this up when you're talking about your German coach, is our coach didn't speak English in the room once the entire season. He did not speak English. And I just got over there. I never knew what he said ever the entire season. And the meeting would end, and they put a guy that'd been there about a handful of years that knew some German beside me. And after every meeting, I'd say, "So anything I need to know?" And he would say, yeah. "Nope, just go play." And I'd say, "Fair enough."
Yeah, no, that's exactly how it was. And for the most part, I mean, everyone spoke English on our team. So some of the Germans that were fluent, I sat next to a goalie, and Sebastian Vogel, so you might know him.
I know that name. Yeah.
He's a legend from Landshut. He's a goalie.
Did he always play in Landshut though?
No, he played in Wolfsburg, Straubing.
Yeah.
He's played all over, but he was fluent in English, and he would look at me after, sometimes our coach would. And he was like, "Do you want to know?" And I was like, "I don't know, not today."
Yeah.
Like after we would lose on a Friday, we'd have like Saturday film. I'm good for today. You don't need to let me know what he said.
Yeah. But it's funny because it's like when coaches tell you when you mess up, it's like, I already know. I knew as soon as I did it, I messed up. You don't have to show me, and you don't have to tell everyone. I know what happened. I was there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I replayed it in my head when I got back to the bench. I know what I should have done.
Yeah. And then like you might have thought about, if you lost the game, you might have thought about it when you're trying to go to sleep, and you're like, God, what was I doing? And like, you don't need to tell me. I know. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
My other funny story, now that you bring back all these memories, is when you say you lost there when you got there. When I first got there, I wouldn't shoot very much because I was playing with my childhood hero. I wore number 10 because of Brandon Dietrich playing in Elmira in my hometown team. And then he's the one that brings me to Landshut to be his line mate into the season. And I'm playing with a guy that's like 5 years older than me. That was my hero. And I wouldn't shoot the puck because I'd always try and pass it to him so he could score. And then the coach told me like it'd be like a ketchup bottle, and like once it started coming out, like my goals would come. And then it actually wasn't until they like broke us up that I'd start shooting and scoring. But we weren't good the first half of the year, and we lost a game in Regensburg that you bring up, which they were okay. They went tits up that year, went bankrupt mid-season. But we went there and got waxed like 7-0, one of my first games. And the team was so mad at the organization was so mad at us. They made us move out of our locker room into the junior team's locker room, and the junior team moved into the pro team's locker room. And that was our punishment for sucking. And we had a couple weeks in the junior team's locker room, and we made it so fun. And we ran amok. And then they actually let us change in the big boys' room again.
That's a good idea. I hope they don't get any ideas for that.
Well, it worked. Really brought the boys together. We moved from the pro team to the junior teams with like a big boom box over the guy's shoulder, and like all the boys were making it fun and trying to show them they were being assholes.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
So I heard Landshut's Arena had a huge refurbishment or like renovation, and they're all like, I've seen some photos. It doesn't even look like the same place anymore.
No, I think it's the best rink in the league.
It looks incredible, and like the Landshut I think about, the arena I remember is like an old German arena, right? And it's like I loved it. It was a German barn, and it was awesome. But like now it looks like pretty fancy pants, eh?
Yeah, it's nice, like really bright lighting. It's a little bit smaller ice sheet, which I don't
It used to be like as dark as it would get for arenas in there.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. It's perfect size for all like the fans that come to the games. But yeah, I was fortunate to play there every home game. It made it nice. It wasn't like, oh fuck, we got to play with this,
Yeah.
Because some rinks, like the boards are just as old as the rink, and you're like, this isn't right. Like, there's going to be 12 separated shoulders by the end of this game.
There's some wild barns in Germany. I remember going to an exhibition game with Bietigheim, and we were planned to play some team. I forget who it was. And they canceled the game because the arena didn't have glass, like even behind the nets, there's no glass. So if you missed the net high, like it's going in the crowd. And like the boards like were like basically like concrete, and our coach canceled the game when we got there. We literally got back on the bus and drove home because it was too unsafe.
Yeah, I would say the only crazy experience I had was maybe in Bayreuth this year. They have an outdoor rink, and we got there and it was just freezing. And I was like, there's no way we're playing in this. Like, this is insane. And some of the guys were like, I love this. And I'm like, Jesus, like it was so cold. And I remember we ended up going to overtime in that game. And I'm on the bench, like in between the third period and overtime, and I'm trying to chug as much water, and all the water bottles are frozen.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And I looked at our equipment guy, and I was like, can you grab me a water? And he was like, no, like everything's frozen. And I was like, all right, I'll just fucking be thirsty in overtime, I guess.
So that's in Bayreuth, though.
was
Krimichow. That happened to me in Krimichow. In
Yeah,
Krimichow,
same
that
kind of
was
thing.
the water bottles froze. I never really got thirsty because I couldn't sweat. I couldn't get hot. I was so cold, I didn't even know what to think. But yeah, you couldn't drink water.
Yeah, it was funny. And then Krimichow was a little bit warmer, so it was like foggy and shit. But the crazy thing about Krimichow is the forest like right outside the rink.
Yeah.
So you're like sitting on the bench and you're like staring into a forest. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
God, you're bringing back memories, dude. I haven't been to Germany since 2013, and you're bringing me right back. Krimichow, that forest is a beautiful forest out back, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get the topless dudes drinking hot wine, like waving flags, banging drums right in front of the forest, and you're like, this is hockey.
Yeah, the drums are loud as fuck.
I can't. I don't even. I don't even care about the water bottles freezing. That's hockey. When you get topless dudes and you're like, I can't even drink water, but there's a topless dude drinking hot wine and banging a drum over there.
Yeah, exactly. I love it when the fans get crazy. It's awesome.
They do, and like some of them might get more exercise than we do during game with all their banging and singing and dancing and screaming, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, they work up an appetite. So I'm still into how we know each other. I guess we better keep going. I just like talking about Landshut. So my last story about the old Landshut arena, because I bet you when they renovated it, they don't have this anymore. so they didn't utilize this when I played in Landshut, but there's a bunch of dandies from Landshut that are the biggest beauties in hockey that are all a group of friends that are around my age and a little older. And they all played for Landshut for the pro team when they're older now. And under the stairs, so there's the locker room, and then there's like a storage area for like bags and sticks and stuff. They turned
Yeah.
that into a kitchen with a beer fridge. They had a fryer with sausages and buns and couches and chairs. And it was the old fellas from Landshut that I had played with and almost won the championship with, and the equipment guy and whoever. But like the young Germans, they didn't come into this room. This was for the old fellas. And I would play for Bietigheim, and I literally would shake hands. I would go in the room. I would get undressed as fast as I possibly could, run around the arena, and then I would go have sausages and beers with the Landshut fellas before I get back on the bus with my team. It was awesome. Seriously,
That's
under the
awesome. I
stairs,
think
they had a little nook that was the coolest thing. It was as hockey got. And they were allowed to have it while they won. And I believe they won the championship. But then the next year when they started losing, they had to get rid of their honey hole.
oh, I mean, I can maybe imagine where it is in the rink, maybe not, but
It happened.
that's pretty cool. I would love to have one of those experiences where you could just
It's one of
sneak to
those
the other
things where
side
there's
and have
only
a beer.
certain people that know that this ever existed. I would say I got to be one of the only imports that was invited into that nook. And thank you guys. It meant a
Yeah, well,
lot.
that's good to hear. The Germans accepted you.
Yeah, well, it's a big thing, right? And I think one of the biggest things in Germany to win is the imports and Germans to be a team. That is the biggest
Oh,
thing. There's so many teams in that league where it doesn't happen, and you can see it. And there's imports that can play like punks because they know that scoring gets them paid, and they don't play the right way to win games. And then it's the same. It can be the same with Germans, but then they also imports don't like the Germans don't like the imports. And then you just see teams fall apart, right?
yeah, 100%. And we had a really good culture, I thought. Like our imports and our Germans got along really well.
I
And that
found
made it super
my
easy.
favorite. I always say where you come from and how you're raised and all that is like a big deal of makes you who you are. But I honestly found the Bavarian Germans and the guys around Bietigheim. Maybe I'm biased, but they were my favorite Germans.
Yeah, no, I think the Bavarians are probably they get along the best.
They're just like me, folks. They make hockey fun. They enjoy beers, food, and winning. You know,
That's literally all that's all they think about.
and that's all I think about too. So I really fit in there. You know, it sucked when I was in Landshut. They didn't have more money to pay us because I heard. So we went to the finals, and me, Hammer, and Geipe, two guys from Landshut we all switched to Bietigheim, and it comes out after we lose in the finals that all three of us are switching teams together. And they chanted that we were only in it for the money. And it was like, well, actually, Landshut didn't even offer because they're pretty well going tits up. So sorry. So yeah, it sucked for me that Landshut didn't have more money because after that season it brought back my love of hockey. I liked hockey again. I loved all my teammates, and I would have stayed in Landshut if they had money to pay people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat, but I would say I wanted to stay there. They knew I wanted to stay there. I think we're a little bit further down the road where from when you played, there's a lot of more business decisions and probably politics that are involved. um, but yeah, when Bietigheim reached out and what they told me and what they were going to offer me, it was kind of a no brainer.
I understand.
And I told I told Landshut that, and they were like, "Yeah, well." And I'm like, "Well, now I'm going to get bombarded by the fans that I'm not coming back." And
I understand.
yeah, so it's gone by. It's all washed away, and I'm excited for next year.
So when did it all happen? Because I know you can side with a different team while the season's still going on.
Um, Mine was a little bit different. My agent told them that we didn't want to figure it out until after the season. And I didn't know anything until I got hurt.
So
when I
for
got
just
hurt.
so you know, usually in Germany, when teams are hot to trot, it's like it's time to make it happen, and
Yeah,
it could be in January.
100%. Yeah, and there was guys on my team that were looking and signing in February and early March, but my agent just thought it'd be best for me to continue playing since I was a late start into the season. Um, like I just played just over half the games.
Yeah.
Um, so it ended up working out in my favor, but yeah, basically right when I got hurt is when I started getting in touch with Bietigheim, and it's probably like about a week later it ended up happening. Um,
So is the season
but
still going on, or it was over when it happened?
when I fully signed, it was over. But it was pretty much negotiating during the last two games of that series because I knew I wasn't going to be able to play.
Okay, like it got real confusing for me, dude. When we were in the playoffs, like we ended up going to the finals, but the two teams we had put out then offered me, and I'm trying to go into the finals and like think about that, and then I got like
Yeah,
two teams offering me, and it's like, whoa, like this is cool, but like I got to focus on what I'm doing.
yeah. That I mean, that's the hardest thing is because we're not really used to that. I would say they kind of grew up knowing like, okay, we got to negotiate this time of year, but
Yeah.
it was. I
And
mean, going back
the
to
Germans are totally fine with like signing with a different team for the next year in January, and like they play the rest of that season, and then like when I was going into the playoffs, like it came out that Geipe had switched to Bietigheim, and like we still had the playoffs to play. I was like, this
yeah,
is bizarre.
I heard a crazy story from Birdie that the goalie from that played for us last year. He was telling me how there was a goalie that ended up signing with the team, and it was I don't know January, February, and then they both ended up in the relegation.
Relegation.
And so it was the goalie playing against the team that he signed with.
And that means his
And so,
contract's only good if they're in the second league, probably.
yeah, so the goalie ended up winning the series against the team that he signed. So the team that he signed with went down. And then I think this was just good karma. The team that he was playing on folded. So the team that they beat ended up staying in the league and he got a contract.
Holy moly. That's
Yeah.
wild.
I couldn't even imagine playing goalie and having that scenario.
Some of the stuff that goes on in German hockey is bizarre, you know. Do you guys
Oh,
still stop like say it's got to be about 30 minutes before you arrive to the destination for coffee and cake?
we just
Like
have it on the bus. Yeah.
we used to like we could be almost late for a game and they'd still stop for coffee and cake like half an hour out, and we'd all stand
Yeah.
outside the bus, have a coffee and a piece of cake, like the
Yeah.
marble cake, folks, like coffee cake. It was lovely. And then you
Yeah.
get back on the bus and head in.
Yeah. No, we have it on the bus and it's so good. I mean, the coffee there tastes so much different.
So much
Um,
better. So much better. It's
yeah.
not even similar.
Yeah. And there was three types of cake and not everyone would have it, but man, I loved it. It was like you said, 20, 30 minutes away from the rink. I would go down, grab a cup of Joe and huge piece of cake, depending on how I napped. And then the guys would give
You're
me a
not
hard
bringing
time.
back
They're like,
memories at all, dude. I'm
yeah,
curious what you do on the bus, because when I got to Germany and I was on the bus, you know what I had to start doing at the start? I started reading books because there's nothing else to do on the way to games. I read books like an actual like adult. And then they came out with DVD players, so I got one of those, and that's how I got through. And then eventually, by the time I left Germany, there were iPads, folks. You know?
yeah. Um, I would say I spend most of my time either watching Netflix or taking a nap. I really try and sleep on the way home from games as hard as it is, just because it really helps. But
You can do that.
um,
I could never sleep on the way back. I don't think I ever slept on the way back from a game. Same
well,
as on a
we have
plane.
these.
Can't do it.
There's these like I've never seen it before, but until I got over there, but they have these like basically foldable cushions. It's like imagine like a square cushion from a couch,
I do know what
and
you're
there's
talking
like
about.
three of them
I do know what you're
combined,
talking
and
about.
then you lay them across the
Yeah.
thing, and
Across
it
the
creates
top of
space.
this,
But
a bed on top of the
yeah, and
seats.
it creates like a small little twin bed. And when I had that, I mean, I could try and sleep pretty well, but
So for me,
um,
that was on the way to the game. I'd sleep the whole gosh darn way, really. And then on the way back, I would be able to sleep.
would you have beers on the bus on the way back?
Not in Bietigheim, not with the coach I had. We pretended like nobody drank alcohol, so we have to do it at our houses. But the other teams and coaches, yeah, we could have a couple beers on the way home.
Yeah, our bus driver sold it to us for €1, or you could just bring your own. But
We
that
used to
was a
have
lot of
team
fun.
cases, and it brings teams together. People think I'm crazy.
100%.
It's what hockey is all about, is having beers together on a bus, just the guys. That brings teams together.
100%. And I think the best part about it is win or lose, we would always have a couple beers and then we would talk about it. And if you lost, like, you could really get opinions from each other. Or if you won, you could see other sides of people when how happy they were, whatnot. So, and I think that brought our imports and Germans closer, because some of the Germans would come back and talk to us, and we'd have good conversations. And
Well, that's when
it
you get
kills
to know
time
each
too.
other, right? Like that's when you get to
Yeah.
know each other, is by sitting down and talking and not looking at phones and having a couple beers. And yeah, totally
Well,
agree.
it kills a lot of time too, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Germany was a great league for, or the second league was a great league for like being a hockey player, because we always played a home and away game each weekend. It was a Friday, Sunday, and you know, it was pretty relaxed, right?
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice.
Playing 5 and 6 in the coast is totally different, you know.
Yeah. You're like, what am I doing?
Okay, so still into how we know each other. You went to the University of Denver and were classmates with Ryan Barrow, shed guy.
Yeah, he reached out to me and asked and told me about this, or he told me that he was like, "You're going on it." And I was like, "Yeah." No, he's a great guy. He was in my class, um, and we had a really good class, really good group of guys, um, all still in touch with each other. All of us are playing pro hockey, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
So, Barrow's obviously in England. I'm in
So,
Germany.
so did you know what happened in Manchester this year? Did
I
Ryan
don't.
tell you? No. So I got chocolate thrown on we started getting chocolate thrown on the ice after every win from talking in the shed. Every time they'd win, they chuck chocolate on the ice now in Manchester, England.
Oh my God.
I started with the GM and coach, but then I had their captain on, and then I started ripping through their team, and like I had the bus driver on, the match night announcer. And that's how I met Barrow. Was I became a huge Manchester Storm fan this year, and it got wild. We got chocolate thrown on the ice after every game. I think we've started like what's it called? We started
Tradition.
a tradition. Yeah, in the shed,
Yeah.
in my shed in Kincardine, Ontario.
No, Barrow's a great guy. He's
And did
doing
you have
well.
the
I'm glad he's
captain in that class too? Your
we had
class
two
photo looked like
captains.
there was a captain on a jersey. Who's that?
Ian Mitchell.
Ian Mitchell. Where's he play?
He plays for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, so he's pretty good.
Uh yeah, and then the our other
Sorry, I don't
captain
know
was
NHL guys now. I only know guys that play in Bietigheim and Landshut and Cardiff.
yeah, the other captain we had in our class was Olaszewski. He plays in Rochester right now. So yeah, we've got a really good group of guys. But it was funny how Barrow was like, "Yeah, I went on it." I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah. It's a small
So
world when
now
you
that
get talking around in your shed, man. And then when like people send me their poster pics, right? He would have sent me a poster pic of he sent me one of a frying pan that you guys had won for beating Colorado College or something, and it was
oh
a
yeah, yeah,
bunch of the
yeah,
boys in one. And like I haven't even looked at that picture again. That could have been you, you know?
probably yeah. I didn't know what to throw in there. I didn't know what was going to be exposed or not. But that's the gold pan. That's a great photo, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. No, and it's neat because then you send me your photos and I'm like, geez, they're at Denver around the same time. And I zoom in on the photo and I'm like, they're sitting right beside each other.
Yeah, yeah. Small world.
Hockey is very small when you get chatting around, you know?
Yeah.
So you know what else is weird about that though? I don't know. Should we bring it up? Well, I guess it's all worked out for you, but he stayed for a fifth year at Denver.
Yeah, that was
You left after 4 years.
yeah, it's not a, I mean, it used to be a sore subject just because they won, obviously, which would have
But
been pretty cool.
But your pro career has gotten off on the right track from leaving and getting into the coast and find the right spot. So yeah, folks, Denver won the national championship in the 5th year. Barrow stays, but you leave, but you're the same class, right?
Yeah, so he was the only guy that stayed out of our class. It was kind of it was an interesting time with COVID, and a lot of us kind of just wanted to move on, and didn't necessarily want to. I wanted to stay, but we kind of mutually agreed it'd be best for me to leave. And now that I look back at it, I think I agree. Um, other than the fact that I could have had the national championship ring on my finger,
Right.
um, which sucks. But you know, Barrow staying was good for him, not only for his hockey career, but I think he's such a smart kid, and for him to get his master's in finance was just like perfect for him, and it'll set him up for life.
Yeah.
And he deserved it because he worked so hard to get into the master's school. Um, but I think it all worked out for everyone in our class. Like, we were super happy for him. And then, the 3 other guys in our class went played for different colleges, and then 2 of us went pro. So, I mean,
It's
we all kind of
bizarre
went
when
everywhere.
college ends and everybody starts going their own directions because, like, for me and my roommates in my class, like, we were best friends for 4 years. And then, like, it's like you see each other every day. They're your brothers. And then, like, you think like life's like that. And then all of a sudden you go to different teams and go different places. And like your teammates are teammates and friends, but like it's not the same as like your college guys, you know?
Yeah, no, and it won't ever be the same. But I think we're close enough to where we'll get together and have reunions, and maybe you've had that. But um, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the hockey world's so small where you'll get a text maybe twice a week, right when everyone started going playing pro. Oh, I ran into this guy. He says he knows you, or this guy said he's played with you in minor hockey. So
It's
it
like it's
makes
like having a shed.
exactly, it makes the world even smaller. But yeah, I mean, like, to answer your question, I wish I would have gone back, but I think, like you said, I'm happy that I went and played pro, and um, with the year I had, I don't think I could go back and change it.
Right. And I think the year you had in the coast is how you've got the opportunities you've got. So I'm not going to go my normal path because that's boring. I'm going to just ask what I'm thinking about is, so your college career, you guys have players, obviously. You're winning the league, your league championship your freshman year, the national championship the year after you leave, and your research team gets hot. There's a ton of NHL logos beside the guys' names. Like, how hard was it to get in the lineup? How hard was it to get ice time? Like, college is a bloodbath when it comes to you have more than 4 lines. You have guys that all can play, and it's got to be hard at Denver to get ice time.
It is. I mean, especially if you're undrafted, it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
And I had 2 different coaches. I had Jim Montgomery my freshman year. He was really hard on me, but in a good way. I think he just expected a lot. And then he obviously moved on to the Dallas Stars, and then we had David Carl move into the position, which didn't really change much because he just kind of kept the same script, which we all really wanted because of how successful it was. But I think just if you don't have a really good impression your first 2 months as a freshman, that when you're undrafted, you kind of have an uphill climb for a year or two. And I kind of knew that going into it. And I mean, the drafted players, I'm not going to be biased or political here. I mean, they obviously get an opportunity. They get more opportunities than other guys, but I think they're drafted for a reason. Um, and they execute on those opportunities pretty well. But I mean, I had plenty of opportunity at Denver, but it was hard to get into the lineup. Like,
Yeah.
I went a couple stretches of like 4 weekends in a row without playing or whatever. I think if you
And
look at
that's
my,
got to be hard mentally too, right? When all you want to do is play. You're at
yeah,
that age where that's all you want to do.
yeah. And it sucked because you just practice like really, really hard, like 4 days a week, and then you just watch. And it's
Yeah.
like there's no reward. So it got tough. I mean, I think I learned a lot mentally, just from those experiences of like how to get through those types of adversity. But um, it finally kind of came through like my junior year, and then of course COVID hit, and I'm like, oh great, like great timing. Like I'm playing the most I've ever played, and COVID hits and cancels our season, and then we go into senior year and we have just a straight bubble with our conference, and that was just brutal.
Yeah.
And that was just a weird year, and I think that's was the main reason why we kind of, it was a mutual decision to leave, just because like it ended on a really bad note. We missed the tournament for the first time in like 20 years. Like we were just, it wasn't our year, and it kind of sucks. But like now I look back at it, I mean, fuck, everything I've done in pro hockey, I've learned from DU, from playing with against all those guys. I mean, I'm like you said, I'm lucky enough to have so many friends that play in the NHL. They're just friends to me. Like obviously they play on the biggest stage for hockey, but like I just treat them as friends and college buddies, and I've
Well,
seen
yeah.
stuff they've done, and
And it's
um,
wild though. It's interesting though, right? Because when I go to Western Michigan, we're like underdogs back then. And like when I go there, there was two, I believe, drafted players on our team, Pat Dwyer and Vince Bellissimo. The only two players on the entire team that are drafted. So like when you're talking about kids that are drafted, I know what like the program and the school, like they thought of the drafted players and how much publicity it would give the school and all the stuff of guys getting to play in the NHL. And it's hard to earn to, it's like going to the coast and like there's all these guys drafted. And that's
yeah,
the next part is you went to the coast and then you did show them what's up and you did get the ice time and you did get to strut your shit because it's hard for guys in the coast that if you're not a drafted player, you're not going to get opportunities. And then in the AHL, it's way worse. I was an undrafted player going to the AHL and they're playing me on the fourth line and I'm the furthest thing from a fourth liner in the AHL, you know?
yeah. No, it goes to every league. That was a great example of putting it. When you go to the coast and you have any sort of contracted player in the coast, like they're obviously going to be on the first power play in the first line. And you're kind of like, well, this is stupid. Like this kid doesn't care. He doesn't even try. Like,
Yeah.
um,
There's yeah,
it's
yeah.
there's some similarities, but I mean, in college hockey, it's a lot different because I think you get more like connected with the guys because
Yes.
it's the same team, and then if it's this,
Yes.
you're
You're a
with some of the
team
guys
for
for
like for us, you're there for 4 years. You knew you're there for 4 years. You're a team.
yeah,
You ain't
and you're
going
with
nowhere.
one class for 3 years, one class for 2 years, and one class for 1 year. So it's just like you're with these guys for a long time. Um, but yeah, when I went to the coast, it was kind of like, hey, we'll give this thing a shot. Like, no idea what's going to happen. I was going to go to Europe right away and didn't
What
really
kind of
find anything.
options? Yeah. Cause like
It
you're
wasn't really interesting. It was like the France second league, the German third league. There was some Sweden teams that were
and that's
involved,
the
and like,
same thing when you talk about the uphill climb. You start in those leagues, it's hard to work your way out of them.
yeah, and I'm really happy I went to the coast. I was able to like stay closer to family and friends in the States, and especially with that new opportunity. But then I went there and I was like, oh, fuck, who knows what's going to happen here? And then didn't know a single person on the team. And it ended up working out really well. I kind of got hot early, and then
You went
kind
to
of
a
just kept
team in
going.
the coast where you didn't know anybody and you got a contract with them and you just showed up, made the team, and then you were an all-star.
Yeah, I signed with them, and I'm just saying I didn't know any guys on the team.
Right.
And the coach kind of just sent me, was like, or he asked me for a couple videos of me. So I asked the video girl at DU, I was like, can you put some of my highlights together or something? And she did that. And then I sent it to him, and he was like, all right, sending over the contract. And then he gave me like rookie, whatever. And then, yeah, I mean, I started on like the third line, wasn't even on the power play. And then um,
Well, because usually you
started,
sign an East Coast deal and you show up for an East Coast camp. Like they
that's what I
usually
did.
have
Yeah.
no intentions of keeping you, usually.
Yeah. And I did that. I just signed it, showed up to camp, and I was like, all right,
That's
I didn't really know how it was going to work. And then we got right into it, and I can't remember. It was like first 5 games. I just kind of was like, I can score goals, I guess. And then I mean, by December, I was.
Because you hadn't got to score goals in a while. We talked about your role in Denver. Like
Yeah,
you're,
no,
and I'm not this. It is what it is. Like your most goals in the season, I think, was 2, and like
yeah, it was
goal
in one
scoring's
game,
a
by the way.
touch, right? And well, goal scoring's a touch, right? Like it's for me, it's like some people could do it, some people can't, but like you also get in grooves at doing it. But like it had been
Yeah.
years for you since you were a goal scorer.
Well, it's also just like confidence. Um,
Confidence is a thing, folks. It's a big thing.
and also, I mean, I think it was just like it wasn't really my job at Denver to score goals. Like my job was to just like forecheck and like not get scored on, basically.
Yeah.
And when I got to the coast, I was like, wow, this is just a completely different level of play. Like, I think, I mean, the caliber of players at Denver versus the caliber of the players at the coast is completely different. Um, and when I realized that, I was like, okay, I'm more skilled than the majority of these players here because of who I played against in college.
Yeah.
And then it just translated, it took me a little bit to figure it out. And then once I started playing on the power play and stuff, and I got into a groove, and then it was so funny. I'll never forget this. My roommate, he's really big into like looking at stats and like who's doing what and what's this. And I could care less. I never really
Yeah.
cared, especially after 4 years of Denver, like not even looking at my own. And I remember we're like hung over on us one day. We're like laying around, and he's like, "Dude, do you realize what you're doing right now?" And this was like in December, and I was like, no, like, what do you mean? He was like looking at all the stats or whatever, and he's like, do you want to know how many points you have? And I was like, no, I really don't care. Like, I'm
So you
just playing.
actually never looked to see how many you had? You didn't know how many points
Well,
you had?
I had an idea, but like I would probably look like every 2 weeks or something. But
Right.
like I wasn't the guy that would look like after every game. And he
No.
was. And he was
When
like,
in
you
the
have.
coast, you also play too many games to pay attention that much. Like when you're
Yeah.
playing in Germany 2 games a week, you have all week to kill to be like, well, let's check out what went on. But when you're in the coast and you're playing 5 and 6, you're like, I don't give a shit about hockey when I'm not at the rink. I ain't looking
Yeah.
at nothing. Leave me alone. I'll be at Buffalo Wild
Yeah.
Wings.
And so what happened is he told me, he's like, you have this many points in this many games. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then it was like 4 days later, the media guy called me. He's like, you're getting nominated for Rookie of the Month, just so you know. And they texted me like a day later. He's like, you won Rookie of the Month. And at that point, I was kind of like, okay, this is cool. And then once I kind of realized what path I was on, I got motivated to continue it rather than just be satisfied, because you realize
You were
like what
just kind of going
opportunity.
to the coast to see what a season would go like, and you didn't really know
Yeah.
where or what you're going to get into, eh?
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, oh, I could take this with stride. And then when I got called up, that was obviously another opportunity, and wish it was for longer, but every team's different. So,
But also, like, so you getting called up, and this is another thing. Most of our listeners are in the UK, just so you know. But like when you get called up to 5 games to Rochester, you're on an East Coast contract, folks. That means any player in the entire league they can call up that's on an East Coast contract, but they have all their AHL guys on East Coast AHL deals. They have all their NHL dudes that they call someone up from a team they have no investment in. That's them saying, we found you and we like you, right?
yeah. And the guy that called me up was actually a DU alumni. So he coached at the University of Denver 2004, and he reached out to my
Who's
coach at
that?
Denver. His name is Seth Appert. He reached out to David Carl and asked him a few questions about me, and then I got the phone call like on a Monday, and then flew out that night. And I mean, for the listeners, I guess I signed a PTO, which is a professional tryout. So basically, just is a day-to-day contract.
For 30
Minimum
days,
pay.
right? Or something.
Yeah, and then you have to re-sign a PTO, but it's just like a day-to-day contract, and
Yeah.
they pay for everything, the hotel and meals. So you're just getting a little bit bigger of a check, which is nice. But New York has high taxes, so that didn't help. Um, it was a great experience, though. I really enjoyed it. I mean, Rochester at that time of year that I went was pretty ugly, gloomy, and nothing to do. So I spent a
Nice
lot of
barn
time in
though,
a
eh?
really nice barn, yeah.
Like
And
old school. It's a barn.
It
type of
is,
thing.
yeah. And no, that was cool. That was a really cool experience. I was kind of, I knew I was going to get sent down just because of like guys getting healthier and healthier. And I wasn't mad that I got sent down because I wasn't going to be able to play. I was more mad because like I really liked the guys there and they were really well, like I loved them. So it was just like hard to be like, oh fuck, I got to go back down to this team. And it was great to go back down to Tulsa. We made a push for the playoffs and that was fun too.
So you made the East Coast All-Star game though in your rookie year, eh? I saw the poster pic. You're in a Coast jersey there.
That was pretty fun. It was something I never really knew what I was getting into, but um, it was down in Jacksonville. I had a game the night before, so I was in Florida for like maybe 8 hours. Like I flew in and it was wild. I flew in at like 3 o'clock. They
You
picked me
played
up.
the night before the All-Star game?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they like have a break for the All-Star game?
Well, it was after, so it was like the 3 days after. So I flew in at like 3 o'clock, got picked up, went to the hotel, dropped my stuff off, went to the rink, did media stuff, played the game, went out afterwards, got up at 6:30, went to the airport and flew home.
That doesn't sound that fun.
It wasn't, but it was cool to like be a part of it. And
Right.
I guess
But
I won't
they
ever do
should
it
make
again.
it right. They should make it more fun though. For like if you earned your way to the Coast All-Star game, folks, if the Coast is listening to the shed, you should let the fellas have a night together and all the best players in the league get to know each other because they're probably gonna meet each other again in Europe and stuff.
Yeah, I felt bad for more or less the guys that had families. Like it
Yeah.
just wasn't much of a family friendly
Event.
event.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
So yeah.
There's guys in the Coast with families still. Is there?
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of them.
Really?
More in the South Division, I would say,
Right.
which makes sense.
Yeah, because
They
they
kind
get
of,
comfortable playing there, right? It's not more.
yeah, I think they just came up there and it's nice. I mean, it wouldn't be too bad living in Charleston or whatnot.
Oh, when you play like when you're in Daytona Beach, Ohio, and then you go down to like, yeah, South Carolina, and you see where guys are playing hockey, and you're like, this is like your real life, and you play hockey here, and I'm in Dayton, Ohio. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you make more money than me? Pardon? Yeah, cool. Okay. Cutting edge question. Where and what are you doing now?
Where am I? I am in Naples, Florida.
Naples.
Yeah, I'm with my girlfriend's family for the week. It was her birthday last week, so we're down here. Um, Flying out to LA tomorrow, where my twin brother lives, to visit him. First time I'll see him in about 10 months.
You
So
haven't
that'll
seen
be
your
cool to see
twin
him.
brother in 10 months, eh? Isn't growing up weird?
Yeah, it sucks, but we're both excited. Obviously, it's our birthday next week, so we'll be able to celebrate together. So it's a good way to, finally put your feet up and rest after the season.
So you guys like identical twins or just twins?
No, fraternal. Yeah. So we don't look anywhere alike, but you put us together with some of my brothers and we look really similar.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm just jumping around again today. Your parents, okay? 4 boys that all played hockey.
Yeah, there's a total of 5 of us, but all 4 of us played hockey. Yeah.
Jiminy crickets. Do you know how expensive that'd be?
Yeah. I
What'd
wore
your
a lot of
parents do?
skates. I wore a lot of skates that were my brothers, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, you'd have to.
uh,
That's the only way you're
uh,
playing, kid.
yeah. But
I can't even afford for my 2 kids, and my girls just get into it. And it's crazy how much money hockey is.
yeah, it's not easy. I'm very fortunate. My mom has been an attorney for her whole career, and my dad was a pilot.
Yeah, well, that's where the all academic thing comes in, right, folks? Genes are a thing.
Yeah. Let me grab my computer charger real quick.
Oh, no problem. I'm going to ask a question probably while you're going to do that, and we'll see if I don't have to pause it. Let's see here.
I can answer. Yeah.
So you're there for the week, and then you're going to LA. What does your brother do in LA? That's your twin brother.
He works in private equity.
Holy moly, you guys are doing all right then. Okay. I got a question. Are is Landshut still called the cannibals? They still eat people?
No,
Oh,
they are.
shoot.
Unfortunately, I was telling you about Birdie, the guy that's from Landshut. He played for them in I think 12 and 13.
You're talking about Vogel, the goalie?
Yeah, yeah. He
His
had this
name's
Leatherman.
Birdie?
Yeah, that's his nickname because Vogel in German is bird.
Ah, gotcha.
There you go, another word in your vocabulary.
Boom.
um, he wore this like Leatherman jacket with like the Cannibals logo on the back, and I was like, that thing is sick.
Right?
So no, they just are EV
Yeah.
Landsuit.
Ice, hockey, something Landshut.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I wish they had a name to him, but
Yeah,
Cannibals
right?
is sick.
Right? You eat people,
Yeah.
folks. What other team in the world is eating people? Right? That's wild. I was so proud to be a cannibal. Okay. So they wear blue jerseys now, not black and yellow like I wore.
No, that was a throwback I just sent you, which is kind of cool. But
Oh,
that was a that was like a 19, I don't know what year, but we wear red, black, and white.
I found it weird when we got to the playoffs the year we went to the finals was the fans, I think it was, voted and they put us in purple jerseys for the playoffs. Purple. And that's the one they gave me to keep. So I have a purple Landshut Cannibals jersey here.
Whoa. I'm
Yep.
not yet. When you guys
Purple's
wear
not,
red,
I don't, my eyes don't pop in purple, you know?
would you wear red pants and like gloves and stuff?
I don't think they, no, it's a yellow bucket we were wearing. Yeah, yellow bucket. Yeah, it was wild. Yeah, that's true.
That's funny.
Yeah. Um, you know what's interesting though about your college career and like the points you put up and who you're playing with is when I went to college to Western Michigan when they weren't the powerhouse they are now, um, I always wondered when we play Michigan and I'm like one of the top scorers in NCAA, and then you play a team that's got all these NHL picks and they're all in the top couple rounds. And it's like, well, where would I fit in with that team? Like if I was on that team, would I even get to play? And it's like, am I good? Am I not good? I don't even know where I stand because like I'm getting ice time with a team that's not good, but then you play these teams that are beating the wheels off of us. And it's like, I don't know how good I actually am, right? And then when you get to pro and you haven't had, say, the college career I've had, but you've been playing with higher caliber their players and like not getting the ice time, but then you get to pro and like you're ready, right? And I got to pro and I don't think I was ready. It's weird.
Yeah, I think there's two distinct paths, but like I said, I think what the the adversity I went through at Denver helped me a lot going into pro. Um, but I think I was just more or less eager to like kind of show people like who I was because all my teammates at Denver saw it. They saw it in practice, but no one
Right.
watches practice. So
Nobody
it
watches
was
practice.
it was more or less of like, okay, this is my chance to like, because everyone kind of catches up and sees what everyone's doing. So when I started doing what I was doing in the coast, everyone's like, yeah, and some of my teammates are like, I knew you were going to do that. But it was more or less the people that
Oh,
didn't
and
really
that's when
follow along in
people talk
practice.
too, right? Is like people talk and they're like, well, why did this guy only get 2 points a season? Like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, well, he's actually way better than you think, but it's COVID and it's all that other
Yeah.
bull baloney, right?
Yeah. And I think going back to your point, like, would you have been, a good player on a good team versus a really good player on a okay team? And it's so hard to tell and no one will ever know. But I thought the same thing, right? I think after my freshman year, my dad was like, are you sure you want to stay here? Like, this was a long, hard year for you. And I was like, yeah, like, I think this is the best fit for me. I grew up watching them. I've created such a good group of friends. And in my mind, though, I'm like, what if I did transfer to like a lower end school and played first, second line minutes? Like, what would happen?
Right.
And then you see some of the players from lower end schools starting to get, American League contracts or even NHL contracts. And you're like, was that the right route? But
Yeah.
there's so many ifs and buts and hows and whens. And I think ultimately you just got to go with what your gut tells you. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I stayed at Denver because, man, I created so many memories and it's such a good school. I got a really good education. Um, But yeah, I think there was. I mean, I asked myself the same question, but it was in the
But the
reverse.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
reverse.
Yeah. And well, you do, right? Because you're always, we're always eyeing each other up as hockey players, right? And figuring
Oh,
out
it's
like
well, we're probably the most competitive breed there is.
it's something I do know. I have realized I have issues and I'm very competitive. And I understand there's other people out there that are not like me. I get it. But you know what? Coaching under 9 gals this year changed the whole league, man. So I was coaching house league under 9 gals, and well, there's a couple games where like we go to full ice and we're keeping score and stuff, and it's like, well, I'm down 2 with like a couple minutes left. I'm pulling it
Pulling the
now.
goal.
Yeah. So I started pulling the goalie early in some games to give the girls a chance, and you know, um, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't, but then when we'd be playing other teams, they'd be doing the same thing after. So it was like it was like, well, it's okay to be competitive. Like we're playing hockey. You're allowed to try and win.
Yeah, exactly.
But we are as competitive as they get. And I think that's why I never hated Landshut, because I knew they couldn't pay me. And they basically gave me their blessing, like, you should take that deal in Bietigheim. That's better. We have no opportunity to pay you like that. But like Bietigheim let me go. They didn't want to keep me after 4 years. The new coach, which I find it interesting that they hadn't hired a coach when they sign you, because to me, having a coach that likes you is like the biggest thing ever, because they bring in a coach in Bietigheim that doesn't like me. It changes my whole life. And yeah, it's interesting that there is no coach yet, right? You
I
don't
would agree.
know,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
don't even know what nationality is, and that changes everything.
yeah. Well, I know he's either going to be German or Canadian.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that's what I know. But I thought it was interesting too. But with having a sports manager that's Canadian, I don't know if you know his name. His name is Daniel Nod.
Okay, he was the old coach. Yeah. I've seen him
He
on the research team. He was before my time in Bietigheim, and he was also after my time in Bietigheim.
yeah. So
And his son's on the team.
yeah. So he was the one that recruited me, and I think he has a lot of say in that organization. So I think with him liking me that much, it's going to go a long ways. But it was out of my control. They didn't have a coach, and um, I think
No, and
from talking to him,
that's a different vibe than where I was at with that organization. Was whoever they hired to be the coach decided everything. They
yeah,
decided,
no, this Daniel, he's the sports manager, so he's the one that recruits everybody, and then the
right,
coach will coach everybody.
right,
So, but
yeah, and
Daniel's
that's
he,
more the North American like AHL NHL vibe than in Europe. It was mainly the coach did the GMing and the coaching.
yeah,
So you're
exactly,
gonna want a coach that likes you.
yeah. Oh, I mean, it makes the whole world's difference.
It does. Okay, jeepers. I guess I could talk to you. Eh? I got issues with that too. I can talk to people and I like winning. My bad. Right? Poster picks. So we talked about your classmates in Denver. So I have had college reunions with my classmates and teammates. They weren't the organized ones in Kalamazoo. Losing sucks, and a lot of guys didn't really like hockey that much when they left in our class, and we haven't been back, but I think we're all ready. But we've done it like ourselves, right? We've had it at our cottage, we've had it at other people's houses. We get everybody together, and it's the best days ever. And I highly suggest you guys get a tradition started of like finding a time where it works.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get on that for sure. And with all of us playing right now, we all know when we're free, and that's in the summer.
Yeah, and then it's time to have fun, run amok, right? Like the old days. So I just posted this right before we came on, though, is that guy that says that you're compared to me or whatever the word is. You're taking a clap bomb back of the net, just like I
Yeah.
used to on the flank of the power play. So is that your spot? Is that your honey hole?
That goal was actually not on the power play, which was kind of interesting. But
Oh,
I was on the flank for a while last year, and then this year I started on the flank, and I ended up moving to the heart position, the bumper.
oh,
Um,
gross.
but I actually really liked it because we kind of
So we're
played it
we're nothing
into.
alike then. I hate that shit.
Well, we kind of played it into the one guy on the right side flank. He was a righty offhand. He
Mhm.
would find one of us three righties for a one timer.
Oh
So
yeah. So you got the new school righty on the new school side, and then you got all one timers off of him.
yeah, so it was just like this crazy setup, and
So once you get the
unfortunately,
puck in his hands, you guys are in good shape for somebody to take a clap bomb.
yeah. And it was funny that, like you said, I mean, I didn't really look at the
That's
stats,
actually
but
called a Schlagschuss. If you're wanting to learn German, a Schlagschuss is a slap shot.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I used to yell it at the goalies when I'd take one.
Slush.
Just in practice, though, not in games. I would focus. Sorry. Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
I was just saying, we talked about the stats or whatever. Like I didn't score any power play goals all year on the flank when I was there, and then in the power play was when in the playoffs. Sorry, when I switched to the heart, so I started scoring goals. So as much as I didn't like it, just as much as you don't, because it's not as pretty, but it definitely was
I
effective
just
for me.
didn't like not handling the puck, but you're calling that position the heart?
Yeah, or bumper.
Is that a new school thing the kids are saying? I don't know that saying.
It's definitely got to be a new school if you don't
Yeah.
know it.
No. Well, I am old, so thanks for talking to me today. Makes me feel like part of the game still, even though I'm old. I'm almost 40, man, and I still get to
Yeah.
talk to you young punks about hockey. And like you guys want to talk to me. It's cool. Right? Now I'm in the game
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. More poster picks though. No, I don't think I have any more. Yes, I do. The last one is you scoring in Landshut, and you're going to the glass, and you see the passion in all the fans' faces. And it brought back so many memories of like scoring a goal in Germany, and you see how much it means to all the people in the crowd. And you're like, I can't believe that you guys are that happy that like I'm playing hockey.
Yeah. No, that's probably my favorite photo from this year.
That's an awesome photo.
Yeah. And um it was, I can't remember. It was against Regensburg, and they were winning. Or no, that it was the 5-1 win at home. And fuck, I'm totally off on this. It wasn't against Regensburg. It was against Ravensburg in the second round. And they were up, and
That's
we
a
scored
playoff
two.
picture for sure. Cause they're not, I don't know if they're like that for a
Yeah.
regular season game.
And I just remember we scored back to back goals, and that was the second goal in like 30 seconds. And yeah, I remember punching the glass way too hard. Shouldn't have punched it that hard.
Did it hurt a bit?
Yeah, my elbow pad wasn't fully on, so I ended up giving it a
Mm,
little bump.
yeah. Random question. Who is your agent?
Drew Shore.
Drew Shore?
He, yeah, he played in the NHL for a little bit, played in Switzerland, played in Russia. So
Is he tall
he played at
left-handed
Denver.
shot, number 17. Is that right?
No, 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 no.
Shoot.
That's a different Shore.
Mm,
Drew Shore played at Denver with my older brother.
okay.
Yeah.
So
He was drafted by.
he's got ties to Europe too, and he's doing the agent thing too then, eh?
Yeah, he kind of helped me out this last summer when I was with a different guy, and then I ended up leaving the other guy. And Drew and I work well together, and I really like him because he's honest. He doesn't
Yeah.
beat around the bush. He's just like, yeah, Jack, like this is what you're gonna get, or this is what you should do,
Yeah.
and it makes it just so much easier. And yeah, really, really
It's
liked it
nice
so
when
far.
people have your best interest at heart and know where you're at, right?
Yeah, and especially he was more than happy to help me out last summer when I was with a different guy because he knew I was going down the wrong path, and he was like, "This is what you need to do." And then
Yeah.
it was funny. I ended up going to the coast, and then 7 games in, I was like calling him. I'm like, I got to go to Europe. Here's the offer that I got, and he's like, all right, we'll make it down.
Yeah, no,
So,
sometimes, yeah, you got to make those decisions when it comes, and you're like, yeah, it's time to go. So Landsuit contacted you 7 games into your coast season.
yeah, it was probably it was 5 games in right after the fifth game, and then
So what month is
just
that?
a
That November?
yeah, maybe like first or second week in November.
Yeah, it's right
And
around the national team break. That's when they always decide what they need for a team. National
yeah,
team break, folks, right around November 9th.
yep, because everyone kind of went on a vacation. But yeah, I mean, things weren't going well in Tulsa, and I just was like, I need to get out of here. And then the coach contacted me, and he was like, "We're looking for a player. We have a import that's out for the season. Um, this is what we can offer you." And I was like,
So
yeah.
they just contacted you out of the blue?
They offered me in the summer. So they offered me in the summer. I denied them because I told them I'd stay in North America, but I wanted to stay in touch.
Right.
And Tyson McClellan, the guy on the team, he played at Denver with me, so he was already signed there. And then when I got the second offer in November, I called him right away and I was like, "What's it like?" He's like, "Dude, it's amazing. Come here." Told him all the details, and then the agent got involved, negotiated the contract a little bit more, and then I was on a flight. So it was weird. I knew I was gonna go, and I played 2 games, tried to convince myself to stay, and then yeah, I left Tulsa on a Tuesday, drove back to Denver, was on a flight Thursday.
It happens fast. I was on my way to
Yeah.
an AHL camp. They had offered me a couple of weeks earlier, and I said no. I was going to give North America another shot. And then I went and skated with the Broncos, and then I'm on my way to wherever, Milwaukee or something. And then they call me with like, "You're the player we want. We want you. You sure about this?" And I was like, "No, I'm not sure about this. Like, I want to come." Yeah. And then I was on a plane the next day too. It's very interesting how quick it can happen, right?
Yeah, it's wild. But I'm
And then it
I'm
changes your
happy.
life, right? And then you get on that plane and then you head to Germany and then you start learning about all this German stuff. And then now you're going to Bietigheim. Isn't it weird? I did the
Yeah.
same
But
thing.
now I'm like really excited to go back. It's a
Right.
whole different feeling.
Because
Um,
hockey's fun again.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's been a
Right.
wild last 12 months, but I'm glad I know where I'm going next year rather than like not knowing in September.
All summer, trying to figure out where life is taking you and like where you're gonna be and you're signed for the year.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you and Riker give me a call when you're smashing pints after a big win on a Sonntag.
Suntag.
That's
Yeah.
Sunday, folks.
Yep.
That's when you
Sunday.
smash the beers in Germany, right? You play Friday, Sunday, and then Sundays can get away from you, especially when you play at home. I used to always look at the schedule. I'm like, so when do we play at home on Sundays?
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you run amok, folks. You know? Okay. Sorry, better move on, right? Growing up in Aspen, Colorado, how does your family get into hockey? Obviously, you got in because your older brothers, right?
Yeah, my dad played growing up, and my dad also grew up in Aspen. His dad was a he worked on the mountain in Aspen. Um, my dad had ended up playing goalie, and he was actually the practice goalie at the University of Denver because back in the day the padding wasn't as good, so they needed practice goalies. So he was one of the practice goalies at the University of Denver,
Really? You got
and
quite
then
the bloodline through there.
yeah, my mom grew up there, but she went to undergrad at University of Colorado Boulder, and then went to law school at University of Denver. So 4 of us went to Denver, and um, yeah, I mean, once my older brother started playing, then it was just a domino effect. And try and be short here, but Tyler was the third brother. He was the first one to move away from home and play AAA, and then go play college, or AAA, then junior, and then college. And then Daniel ended up going to play AAA. Then he played junior in Sioux Falls, and then he played college at Denver. And then my twin and I left a year early to go play AAA, so we played 2 years of AAA, and I played 2 years of junior. Started in Chicago, got traded to Sioux Falls. 2 years basically there, and then finished my career in Lincoln. But it was basically 2 full seasons, and then went to Denver.
Yeah.
So kind of just like this path of everyone following each other and realizing like if it's successful or not. And I think, I mean, we
But
all kind of one upped each other on how it went.
well, it's all interesting when you see people's hockey paths, right? As there's always like a pipeline, right? Like there's
Yeah,
always someone that did it first that started the trend. And it's like, I don't know, like Bietigheim traditionally has had a lot of Canadian American imports. That's what they like. That's what they're into. I like it. But then there's also, if you get the Czech coach in, then they're going to bring in the Czech imports. And it's all very interesting that there's always a pipeline of like Western Michigan. There's a bunch of guys that play in the junior B loop around where I was that went to Western Michigan because the coach there was from Stratford, where I around here that played junior B here, and he knew there was players here that nobody knew about. And that's how the pipeline starts, right? And everybody's got their different contacts in the hockey world.
Yeah, no, and I think for us, it's like a family was just like we saw how it was, and if it worked, it was pretty simple and made my parents comfortable. And yeah, my older brother went to D3 college in upstate New York, Skidmore. So it was kind of all over, but I think all of our paths are very similar but very different at the same time.
So when you say you're in Florida with your girlfriend, does she come to Bietigheim with you?
She's moving over next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would
And
be good.
where did you live in Landshut? It wasn't 9 and 6 Breslauer Straße.
No, it was I mean I think it's a new development from when you were there.
You've right
I
not
didn't
staying
want
in the
to.
same places, eh? That's
Yeah.
cool. New rink, new apartments, whatever. Bunch of
Yeah, it was
fancy pants boys now.
West Landshut. So
I don't even
it
know what that
was
means.
it was probably it's like a 4-minute drive from the rink is where I lived.
Oh, then I had to go through the tunnel to the other side of town and then out that way, you know? Is the tunnel still there?
No.
Shut up.
What
There's a
tunnel?
tunnel that goes under the town to the other side. Right
No.
by the rink. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Where the rink is, there's a little place that you can't drive a car over, right? And you gotta go. Come on, and then stop it.
No, there's the bridge right next to the tunnel or right next to the rink
Yeah,
is a street bridge now. You can
a
drive
what?
across it. You can drive across it. And the
Okay,
tunnel, I
but
don't
what
know
used
where
to
the
be a 1-car street though. It was one
Oh, it
car at
is.
a
Yes.
time,
Yeah.
right?
It's
You go
one
one way,
way.
and then the other side would go.
Yeah.
You turn left when you cross that bridge. There's a tunnel up there on your right that takes you down underground up to the other side.
Not there anymore.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Is the what kind of food is it? Greek restaurant? If you go across that one road bridge up the hill.
Poseidon.
Yes. Still there?
Yeah, I went there. It's great.
Yeah. They give you the schnapps at the end of the meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the fellas used to take me to. I used to take my dog there with us. And then right across the road from that, there was a nice place we used to drink a lot of pints at.
I went to Poseidon once. It was good. I think it's turned into a much more formal place because the guys used to talk about it too as like the one place to go after the games to grab food and drinks. If it was like a later game.
I'm telling you, if someone in Landshut wants to start a place Sunday nights for the team, for the man shaft, the fellas are going to come if you stay open for you, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. We always were looking for a place to go, folks. But Poseidon was a good spot. Okay. It's funny. You're doing the same shit. Like, I know I'm old, but a long time later, right?
Hey,
15,
less than
16
20
years later. Yeah. Less than
Yeah.
20 years, folks. I ain't that old, right? Okay. Anyways, moving on. We talked about that enough. Colorado Thunderbirds. That's AAA. So how far away is that from home? How far away what town is that out of? If you're in Aspen.
Denver. That's in Denver. It's in Denver.
And how far away is Aspen to Denver? All I know about Aspen is Dumb and Dumber. And
it's not even filmed in It's not even filmed in Aspen, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, it's filmed in Breckenridge, but Aspen's about 3 hours from Denver in the summer and 4 hours in the winter because you can take a little pass.
And so that's who you play for? 4 hours away?
I lived it with a billet family.
Oh, you had to do a billet family to do it.
Yeah, so I lived with the family my junior year of high school without my twin, And then my senior year of high school, we ended up living with the same family. So that was a little weird. First year, we moving down together, we split up. So we were living at different families, different houses, but going to the same school and playing on the same team.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't have a place for us to both stay at a house. They didn't, no one on the team could fit us both. But yeah,
Being a
it
twin's
was
got
a
to be different, eh? Do you guys like have that? What do they call where you're like you're thinking?
telepathy.
Yeah, is that a thing?
Yeah, no, no, no. But we are very, very similar.
Are you?
As much as we don't like to admit it, we are. Yeah,
Well, yeah. Siblings can be though, even if you're not twins, though, right?
100%. Yeah.
Hmm.
So no, it was great playing for the Thunderbirds. My older brother did it, and then it just like it opened the opportunities for me. Was
And you
able
got to
to,
know some people in hockey, right? Because I see Cal Foot was on a team and Troy Terry.
yeah. So Troy was actually my twin and I's first friend when we moved to Denver. Um, he lived right down the road from us, so we would drive with him to practice every day, and then
And you end up at Denver together.
that was really cool. Yeah. So I ended up playing with him at Denver again, and his mom and my mom are really close, and they still are. So we're really good friends. And then Cal Foot, because Adam Foot was our D coach the first year. So
Well,
he
that's all right.
coached
Eh?
us. Yeah, he coached us with Cal being on the team, and that team was filled with studs. I mean, I think if you go look at elite prospects, you can probably see a lot of guys there that have made it pretty far. But yeah, that was a really cool
Well,
experience. I
coaching
mean,
matters at that age too, right? And to have Adam Foote, like you guys probably were Avalanche fans growing up, and then you got Adam
yeah,
Foote as your D coach.
yeah, it was wild. But he was, he wasn't just like a dad doing it. Like he was so hard on Cal, and he was just like really, he was a really good coach. And I think obviously it
I
translated because
understand.
now he's in the NHL coaching, so it makes sense. But that was wild. Really cool experience. Then played U18 with majority of the same guys, and then obviously went and played juniors. But uh, yeah, I love the Thunderbirds. It's a great program. Brings out a lot of good players.
Well, that's pretty cool. And that Troy Terry's doing well too, eh?
Yeah, he's pretty good. You
He's
should
all
see.
right.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. I remember watching him in the World Juniors, and I always remember when like I watch a game and there's like a player that stands out to me, and I'm like, oh, there's a guy. As like when I saw Barzell play in the World Juniors, then I saw Troy Terry play in the World Juniors. It's like all of a sudden you're watching a game, you're like, holy shit, that guy's good, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting when you bring up Adam Foote being hard on his kid and like being good at coaching. It's like I really do think I'm better at coaching than playing. I think I'm a better coach than I was as a player. I know how to bring teams together and stuff like that. And I'm also very hard on my son, which it's interesting. But yeah, anywho. After that, though, you get drafted to the USHL, to the Chicago Steel, but you don't really play for them. Other than a tournament I'm very interested in. Research team sees something where you're playing like different countries with the Chicago Steel.
yeah. That was a really cool experience. Got drafted by them, made the team. Right when I made the team was when I got offered for a visit to go to University of Denver. So that was just like a whirlwind of good news.
And that's right after you're done with the Thunderbirds. You go straight to
Yeah,
Chicago, make the team, and then you're going to
yeah. Then I get
Denver.
offered by Denver. Yeah, so it's kind of a lot.
Yeah, that
And
would be a lot.
and then I make the team, and then the owner of the team comes in, and he's like, "Well, we got the bid, and we won it, and we're going to be going to Russia to compete in the World Junior Cup Challenge, which is basically just a World Cup, basically of all these junior teams from different countries playing against each other, and um, we were representing the United States through the USHL, and we went to Moscow for a week and trained and kind of practiced and sightseed and whatnot, and that was crazy. And then we flew to Yekaterinburg,
You
which is
went
in
to
Asia.
Moscow with your junior hockey, like for the Chicago Steel.
Yeah, they flew us all the way out there. I mean, this guy is so loaded for the Chicago Steel owner. And then Yeah, so we flew to Yekaterinburg where the tournament was, and man, that place is like the best way to describe it is like you're in a war video game. Like looks like you're in a Call of Duty map. Like it was nuts. And the food is just so bad. Like the things they eat there are just like unimaginable. Like they'd be like the one item on the menu you wouldn't eat, and they would have that filled. And I'm like, oh God. So we just eat Nutella and bread every day. But the tournament was really cool. A lot of good, a lot of good players, and I didn't play a ton. I was like fourth line, but it was so cool. Like playing
So
against these,
cool to be a part of it. Yeah.
going from playing in like AAA games to like these huge rinks and like playing against other, whatever teams, and that
Different
was super cool.
countries and different backgrounds and different people. Like
Yeah.
it's
So
when you
we ended
start
up,
learning about shit.
yeah, and we ended up getting third, and it was great. And then we got back and we got settled into our billet families. And I remember my billet dad was like, "So I picked you guys because I asked the coaches, who was going to be solidified on the team because I hate when they give me players and then they leave because it just kills my kids and they get so sad." And I'm like, "Sweet, like we made the team, like we're here for a while." And then I get a phone call like 2 days later and they traded me to Sioux Falls, and the billet dad was so pissed. He's like, "I told you to give me a player that was going to be solidified."
I
So
could see that though. Like when you get kids that get invested in a player and living with the family and they idolize them and stuff, and then they're just gone the next day. Like that's putting something on your kids you didn't need to.
yeah, so that sucked. But honestly, I went to Sioux Falls and I couldn't have been happier. I had an unbelievable billet, and the rink there is incredible. Fans are great, and I was really
Where
happy.
where
It was
where where is Sioux Falls?
Sioux Falls is just about, well, it's basically in the southeastern corner of South Dakota.
Okay, I was thinking it was like by by North Dakota, and that's okay.
It's like 3 hours north of Omaha
Okay. Yeah.
and
See, I
three
don't know
hours
that
and
area that well. It's weird because wherever you go, you know more about I know
it's
more
three
about
hours west
Europe
of
than around
Minneapolis.
Ontario. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like 3 hours west of Minneapolis, if that gives you a good idea.
Okay.
So
So you liked it there then. And then you go to high
love.
school there, you transfer all your shit there, and
I graduated high school, and then
you're
I
already
played.
done.
Yeah, so I played 2 years outside of high school, and then my second year of Sioux Falls was when I started taking some courses at a community school to just get ahead of the game for
I did the
DU.
same. I did the same. Um, I also took part-time courses before I went, but so when did you commit to Denver?
Oof, that summer, like right before I went to Russia.
Right. Like right when you make Chicago Steel, you're just getting started in that, and then you play 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. And then so then you get to Denver. Man, you guys are a squad. Must have been a time when it's all interesting, right? Because I had a very hard time in college losing. I hate losing. It it makes every day worse. Being at the rink sucked. We'd have fun away from it. But like you guys were good. Like I know you didn't get to play as much as I did in college, but you guys were good and you were winning. And like winning is fun and it makes life more fun, right?
yeah. It was. I mean, we went on some really great stretches. My freshman year, we had a dominant team. I mean, that junior class with Troy Terry, Dylan Gambrell, Logan O'Connor, Blake Hillman, like was just dominant, and we were so good. And that was another reason why it was so hard to make a lineup. Like, imagine we had Henrik Borgstrom. I don't know if that name rings the bell, but
I saw it on there. Yeah. Finnish guy.
he's, we just had such an insane team, and we ended up losing that year um, in the, what would you call it? The second round of Elite Eight or whatever. And that was pretty shitty because we had such a good team, and I thought it'd be such a cool experience to see the Frozen Four as a freshman. And then my next year was when we went to the Frozen Four. So I
You
mean,
get
yeah,
you got
winning
to
was cool.
experience a lot more shit than I did. We would get put out like first round, second round, and that would be that. And it'd be like, wow, like gosh, this losing sucks.
Yeah, I think if you don't make it to the Frozen Four at DU, you didn't accomplish much. Um, and I think just with
That's a good culture to have.
yeah, and our conference tournament is really competitive because the NCHC is really good now. Um, Winning that was really cool my freshman year because we didn't really I don't think we had that great of a conference year, but um, it's really hard to win that now because it's a single game thing. You know, you get to the first round, but then you go to the XL Center and it's just like a magnitude different of like it's just a big deal. So winning that championship's really cool too. But I think both the years that the they won the Penrose Cup twice, which is the number one seed. They won the single season title, and then they lose. Then they lose, and they can't win the NCHC title. So yeah, like you said, it's great winning all those games, but there was also some dark times where you win. I think if you lose two games at Denver, it's so much different because you have 4 or 5 days for the next game, and it's the longest 5 days because
Oh, it's
it's just
brutal.
like long video sessions,
But
this, that, this.
imagine that, but like it's like that all year. Like Western Michigan's good now. We're battling with Denver. We're a powerhouse now. We're top 10 in the country, right? But like when I went there and what we were and what it's become is incredible. But like we would lose and our practices for 5 days, our bag skates, our video, it was it was so exhausting that like you couldn't get ready for the next game because you were cooked. Like and then the losing just kept going.
Yeah.
This was at the end of my time. The start, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. No, I can see that for sure.
Yeah. College is a different animal, right? When you have all week to just practice.
It is. It gets long, but it makes up for it with all the fun you have.
Oh yeah. Playing in front of college fans is pretty wild, right? Denver fans would have been pretty good, eh? Western
They're
Michigan
good.
fans are about as fun as they get.
They are. I was just about to say that. Probably the best crowd in college hockey, in my opinion, is probably West the Lunatics.
Ryan Barrow
Um,
said the same thing. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Denver guys, for saying that the Los Lunatics are the best fans in college hockey, right?
yes, yeah. I won't give North Dakota credit. I can never do that, but I'll give
No, that
Western Michigan credit.
that arena's too fancy pants. Western Michigan's more my style.
Yeah,
But no, like starting the shed bed is like I get text messages from NHL scouts now that were my teammates that are like, I'm at the Western Michigan arena watching Western play Denver or whatever. And like, I'm back in the game. And it's all because guys like you are willing to come on and talk to me, even though I'm old balls, which in German is Alta Aya. Okay. They call their balls eggs in Germany. That's Aya is the same as egg. Yes, you're right. So anyways, I thank you for coming on and talking to me because I know it's weird. I know I'm weird, but like talking to you makes my day better, gives me more energy, makes me happier that like I'm back in the game that I love. And you've started out your pro career exactly how I have. I don't know where it's going to go. Everybody's career is different, but I think it's really neat that there's a dude out there in the world that has started out the same way as me, you know?
yeah. No, I really appreciate you reaching out. I think it's really cool, and I never would have thought that we had the exact same path in some sort of way, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on and
Well,
discussing all this.
we'll do it again someday, eh? You and Reich are gonna start running amok, and then you guys are gonna start dominating the second league, and then it'll be like when I was just chatting with Richard Gelke, my buddy from Helbron. His team just stayed up in the second league, and then they were like FaceTiming me having pints in the locker room. And it means the world to me to like be part of the game and like that. I talk to them and then they win and then they call me and they're like, let's have pints. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Last
Yeah.
question though. I almost forgot about this. Did Landshut have Kabinefests last year?
Yes.
Did you have one?
Yes.
What did you serve?
We combined Kabinefest with Christmas.
So you didn't have to like host a Kabinefest where it's your meal, you brought the food?
No, not none of that. I don't know if they did that before I got there, but we kind of did a Kabinefest um
Right around
for like
Christmas with everybody?
Christmas. Yeah. Yeah. We did like a Christmas one with a bar and everyone we had different types of liquor and beer. And we did like presents and it was a pretty cool tradition.
It really like Kabinefest, like it's probably changed over the years, but like pro in Germany was very much like, I don't know how to explain it. The fans are unbelievable, but like it's still hockey. Like you go in the room after games and have a couple pints, and Tuesday practices would be very hard, but then two guys on the team would pay for everybody's food and beer, and then you'd come in and everybody would eat and drink and have a time, and then you could end up hitting the town as a team, and it really brought
Yeah.
teams together. It was one of the best traditions I've ever seen in hockey.
We did something like that when we were in a slump. The captain and the goalie bought pizzas and beers and we hung out till like 6:30 at night.
That
That was the
sounds like a
first
captain and a goalie.
that was the first Cabina Fest we had, and then we had a barbecue. We've had two barbecues, which were good. But
And that's what you need.
yeah, but they were kind of led by our coach, not necessarily some players,
Right.
which was nice of him. So it was great
But
food. So
you need to bring people together. You need to get away. You need to get together away from the rink and be a team and get to know each other to win.
yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think once the Germans and the imports they link well, it's only success to follow.
Well, if I have any advice for you, okay, now that you're going to Bietigheim, okay,
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Christmas markets are really fun. They
Yeah.
can make you fat for the second half of the season. Don't get too carried away. I know it's hard. I got carried away every December. It was awesome every time, and I don't regret anything. The next thing is the basins. If you don't know what a basin is, you should ask your German fellas what a basin is and say, take me to the basin that Wally had his Kabinefest at. Somebody will know where that is. It is down the hill on the other side of Bietigheim. There's a little old restaurant. It's only open a couple months of the year while you're there. It's like November, I think. It's around November. These are all the local farmers that put together a restaurant with the local stuff, and they only serve wine and then their little local menu, and it's the best food you'll ever have. Try the Schweinehals, okay? Just thinking out loud. That's a pig neck, folks. But seriously, it's the best. It was my favorite.
I'll have to definitely check it out.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I explain it like that to some of the German fellows, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
The basin, they need to know where the basin is, and the Schweinehals. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But those are really my main things. If you get just other thing to remember is at the start of the season, they're going to have this event. It's called the Pferdemarkt. That's the horse market. So they're going to take you to a beer tent and say, have fun. It's preseason. If you have too much fun, the whole town knows. They do know who you are. I didn't know that. I thought I could have as much fun as I wanted. They told me to have fun. I did whatever I felt like. Apparently, I got carried away. It's a small town, and if you don't speak German, they usually know who you are.
Yeah. I'll be careful.
But those beer tents are as fun as hockey gets, and I think you actually should run amok. That's what brings teams together too, is the Pferdemarkt in Bietigheim. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've heard nothing but good things. So I'll have to reach out to you if I have any more questions or suggestions.
Yeah. Well, it's been great getting to know you, and it's pretty neat. Like connecting with a dude that started out his pro career like you have.
Yeah.
And I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope to stay in contact because this has been fun. Apparently, we could talk.
Yeah, I love it. So I appreciate everything, and we'll stay in touch.
So, what's your nickname? Because I got nothing. I've been thinking about it.
Oh, I mean,
Tough last name for a
most
nickname, eh? In the hockey world.
well,
What are we
my
thinking here?
brother's my brother was always called Reamer, and then
Oh yeah,
when I got to Denver, they didn't want to call me the same name as him,
Reamer.
which
Yeah,
is
Dor.
which
So is it Doremus or is
yeah,
Dor?
Doremus.
Is it? Because I
Dore,
thought it was too, but I called you Dormus.
yeah, it's Doremus.
That's what I thought.
And I get the Jackies. My middle name is Olin, which they put the middle name on my roster this year, so everyone called me Jacko or Oli. There was a lot of them that flew around, but
Oh,
I could go down the list with all my
I
college
I thought
nicknames.
you were
But
Doremus, and I wanted to ask you before, and I forgot. I just thought it was Dormus because there's not a double E. You know.
yeah, Doremus. Yeah, it's a weird last name, but
Hmm.
Doremus
Well,
is.
I think we're going with this has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Jackie and Wally. Go Cannibals and Steelers.